Hi everybody, I'm Beth Wiesemann, and no, I'm not a Catholic priest. I only play one on YouTube. Whether you're a Catholic or not, you probably realize that the Catholic Church does not allow women to be priests. Well, I think that's wrong, and I would like to examine the origins of this policy, why the Church still believes it, and what I feel is a grave consequence of going on with it in the future. So where did this policy come from? Back when Jesus was starting his church over 2,000 years ago, back when this was a popular mode of transportation, he chose 12 apostles to preach his word. They were men. That's it. See ya. Good night. No, seriously. Basically, that's it. Jesus chose men, so women can't be priests. Well, according to the noted religious scholar Dr. Gilbert Bilezekian, Jesus had to choose men because women had no credibility back then. Nobody would have listened to them. And it should be noted that he chose 12 Jewish men because they would be preaching first to the Jewish people. He doesn't feel, though, that Jesus meant for this to be a permanent policy. And I'd like to read a line from the Bible. This is the book of Acts, chapter 2, verse 18. Even on my servants, both men and women, I will pour out my spirit in those days, and they will prophesy. Sounds to me like Jesus meant for women to be priests. And certainly now we have the credibility. So why does the church still stick with this policy? Well, if you ask the current Pope, Pope Benedict, he'll tell you it's doctrine. The church cannot change doctrine. He has no choice. John the 23rd would have told you the same thing in 1958. And every pope in the last 50 years would tell you the same thing. But think about where women's rights have come in the last 50 years, not to mention where we've come since this was a popular mode of transportation. It is gender bias. The church insists that it's not. Back in 1988, Pope John Paul II wrote a 116-page letter to women where he insists that we are equal, different, but equal. God simply grants different privileges to men than he does to women, but we're equal. Well, I don't know how you can deny women full participation in the Catholic Church and still insist that we're equal. That would be like if the president took away our right to vote and tried to say that we're still equal. It is gender bias. And what's going to happen to the Catholic Church in the future if they don't change their minds? My local diocese just recently acknowledged the consolidation of 20 parishes in the next 2 years. They don't have enough priests to go around, and the ones that they do have are getting up there in age. There are thousands of young women willing to answer the call to the priesthood, but the church would rather close down 100-year-old parishes than let women preach. And what about the Protestants? It seems like every time I turn around, there's another mega church going up at the end of my block. Where are they getting ministers? Well, for starters, they allow women and married men to preach in their church. You know, it's really sad, but in the end, the church is never going to change its mind. Jesus picked men, and that's just the way it is. 2,000 years later, the Pope insists he has no choice. He cannot change church doctrine. He'd rather close church doors than let women preach in the church. Well, he may not have a choice, but I do. Thank you very much for listening to me again. Even though I am only a girl, I hope to see you in class. Bye-bye.